Welcome to Half-Ass Nerds, playground built on imagination and bullshit. Here just for your sweet, sweet entertainment. Be entertained.
Hello and welcome to Half-Ass Nerds, Episode 2. In case you didn't know, we are a podcast of life, of love, love and life in general, everything abundant around us. Anyway, we are back for Season 2, and with me as always is...
Jonathan, I'm here.
Yeah, so in general I think we're going for more structure this time around a bit, but at the same time being less constricted. Like, I don't know about Jonathan, but for me it became kind of like a job. It was stressful. It was, overbearing, you know?
Yeah.
And even that being said, structure is good and pushing forward or, learning
Yeah, I agree.
is important, and I don't mind that. It was just like my own hedge,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got my own way. Again, that's just me. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Jonathan seems to agree.
Yeah, I do agree. I think that, we started getting bogged down with life, and life was on our backs as well as, trying to do the podcast. And I think we lost the fun and the wonder and the love that I enjoyed just talking to my friend Josh, through the podcast media. I mean, I think we got things to say. I think we have experiences to give, and I think we have a structure we can put into the podcast that makes it more palatable for people listening.
Right, and, a lot of the structure, honestly, is on you. You have a lot of wisdom. You are the one that wanted to start the podcast. We are here because of you, and you do have a lot of wisdom, which is why, more or less, the next step in terms of structure is I'm going to interview Jonathan based upon the structure going forward in terms of interviews. Anyway.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'm going to be talking about me.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Well, no, you're not. That'll be a real thing. We're
Yeah.
going to be talking about you. That's, yeah.
So shoot, give me a question.
Well, I want to go back to what you were talking about, just having fun and, enjoying this whole process
Yeah.
with you, man.
Yeah.
I do think we together, if not that we have a lot to say, but we're at least entertaining. I think we're at least fun. We're funny individuals with a interesting, I don't know.
Take on the world, maybe.
Yeah, take on the world. Yes, Thank you. So, a question, I wanted to start out real simple here, but I don't know, where were you born, man?
I was born in Indiana, a town called Elkhart, at midnight or around midnight. I grew up in a town, far away from Elkhart. Elkhart's a small town, but there's other smaller towns around us, and I lived in a town called Middlebury, Indiana, which is close to Elkhart. And it sounds like Mayberry from, what was this TV show? Oh, shoot. Maybe we'll cut this part out. I can't remember the name of the show. But anyways, Mayberry. If you know what it is, comment and tell me what town I'm thinking of when I think about this Mayberry town. And it had Ron Howard in it, and Andy Griffin, and Aunt May. It had the song. Remember that?
No, I got nothing for
Oh
you,
my
man.
gosh,
I'm
you're so
sorry.
young.
Fuck all this. We can cut out the more or less last minute, but you want to look it up?
No, that's
Mayberry?
cool. It's Andy Griffin show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Andy Griffin show.
Hey, that's back.
Black and white it was started, so that's an old show. I say we leave this in.
Yeah, I agree. That's, our
Andy
background. That's like the background stuff
Yeah.
that we like to bring in. But Yeah, Andy Griffith, right?
And we had, in my elementary school, we had maybe 30 kids. So it was a real small town. Everybody knew each other, which was really bad for me, I think, because, I was labeled as somebody who was shy and a little bit of a fat kid. Still am a little bit of a fat kid. And grew up kind of, just stuck in a hole with certain friends because that was the friends you knew in the small town. So you were kind of stuck with who you got.
You know what I like about that whole statement is you're a kid. You're still a kid.
Yeah.
You have a good heartedness to you. I know that, like, it is interesting. You find yourself segregated, perhaps, seems to happen to a lot of us, especially in a nerd culture, right? Like, if we fall into really any of the arts, we end up separate from most people, I think, like, just commonplace.
My nerd history goes way back. I mean, I remember being a little kid and really enjoying Star Trek because they re-released them and played them on television for us. And we had 3 channels, and one channel at what I'd say it was like 11:30 on a Saturday would replay Star Trek episodes. It seemed to be the same 10 Star Trek episodes over and over again, but we didn't care because it was what we had, and you got to love or hate these episodes. One where the Greek god comes down in the old Star Trek. Did you ever see that, Apollo?
Yeah.
I've seen that so many times.
It was
I could almost
fake,
do it verbatim.
Right? Like, it wasn't even... It was just all an illusion.
Yeah, it was an illusion.
But, yeah. Back to you.
Yep.
You, the man, your physical life, as it were, first pillar in our structure here of interviews.
Yep.
So you're segregated, you're nerdy at this point.
Yeah,
you live
nerdy.
in Mayberry.
My father was a football. He was 7'2". He weighed about 360 pounds. He was a massive person. He was huge.
Yeah.
And he had size 15 shoe. You know what I mean? Okay. This guy and he was a brawler in high school. He was a state champion for football and basketball, mostly because he was one of the tallest guys just in the whole town.
No kidding. How tall was he
7
exactly?
foot.
7 foot? Yeah.
7 foot.
Yeah.
And he was big. He had a voice and a meaner of, you do as I say because you're my son, and with a big booming, it scared you.
Yeah, I imagine. 7 feet of voice. Like.
I always wanted to put him as I was a little boy, thinking him of a boy and a giant, like Jack and the Beanstalk. That's how I felt growing up, this little kid with this humongous father whose disapproval, boy, you felt it.
Yeah, I imagine, man. Yeah, a lot there, a lot of authority,
Yep.
Definitely makes sense. And what'd he do then, for instance?
Well, I don't want to bring up too many bad memories about him because I want to say that I've let it go, and he was just a man who grew up in a time, and that time period dictated how you parented, and he had some mental issues like I do. I think he might have been bipolar. He was very aggressive and kind of abusive to me as growing up as a kid. But he had also the good heart, and he also had a great sense of humor. He taught me humor, I think, growing up. He always told the same stories, 150 times, but he always made it fun to listen to just because how he told the story. And I think that's what got me into writing, too, was writing stories, is hearing his stories.
That's awesome, man. Like, I mean, there was a lot there. A lot to digest even for me. Like, I know you, but that's cool that you took that, like, the stories and a certain positive aspect.
Yeah, I think it was Buddhism that got me to the point where, we're all suffering human beings and we're all idiots and we don't know what we're doing. But, we should realize that people... although my father was very abusive to me, he was also very loving to me. And there's like a yin and a yang to it that, you can't discount one if not the other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there were certain things he did that, I don't know if I would say I, let go of, because some of the things we did was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
But I think he was just a man who suffered mental illness like I do with bipolar. Because I'll tell the people right now on this podcast that I am a pill-taking bipolar individual.
Yeah, I mean, the pills help you. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like you're getting high off.
And I
this
fought it
shit,
for a
but-
long time in my life is, should I take these pills? Is it just a crutch? Why can't I just snap out of it? And I've come to the conclusion that there are some people that just needs to have this medicine, and why is that such a bad thing?
Absolutely, and not at all. I can't imagine why it would be a bad thing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe that's just who I am. But, yeah. You know what's funny, though?
What's that?
I mean, what did your dad do as a profession?
Oh, well, actually, he was in and out of jobs because he couldn't read. They pushed him through high school because he was a football and a basketball star, that they didn't really care what his grades were.
Okay.
And he never learned to read. And that's what stopped him from doing pro college ball, is that he couldn't read. He couldn't go to college because they would expect him to at least read.
Yeah, and get some grades.
To get some grades. And
on his own.
he was just given
Right.
good grades because he was such a superstar in football and basketball.
Right.
So it hurt him.
Oh, man. Yeah, that sucks. No one taught him to read.
And he would
throughout
lose
all that?
jobs when he got
Shit.
older as an adult because they would find out he couldn't read, and then they would fire him.
Yeah.
So that happened to him a lot. Especially the jobs that he did do was overhaul, trucking or driving.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I was going to get at is what did he do that you remember?
Yeah, I
anyway?
remember him losing a
Is,
lot of trucking jobs. He would have my mom come into the interviews and write everything down, as far as putting in the paperwork, and he would turn that in and try to get the job that way.
It worked out, I assume.
Not near the end of his life. He had a real bad...
Oh, well.
Because how tall and big he was, he started having heart troubles at like 35, and he died at 38 when I was 16.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of a heart attack.
Yeah.
So-
38?
But he just wouldn't take care of himself, too. The doctor,
Wait.
4 years before this was telling him, lose weight, don't smoke, get good sleep,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't listen. He just...
It's
He
not
kinda
much
aged.
of a trucker lifestyle, I
Yeah,
don't think.
yeah.
Yeah. If he was
He
doing
wasn't a
that,
drinker,
like-
though. He wasn't a drinker. He never drank. When I was around him, I think I seen him drink 2 beers the whole time I was growing
Oh,
up.
really?
He was
But
never a drinker. He did smoke cigarettes a lot.
I mean, I have heard, and I like getting into his backstory, honestly, because that gives depth to him and why he might have been an asshole to you,
No,
essentially.
no.
And that sucks, Like,
Yeah.
it sucks all around. Sucks for him. No one taught him to read. Like, how's
Yeah.
that happen? Like,
Yeah.
no,
And there's
no,
another
no.
bad story that happened to him because he couldn't read and because he had a hard time reading. When he was 11 years old, they put him in a mental institution with insane adults because at the time period, they didn't know what to do with kids who could not learn. So they thought they had a mental disability, like big major disability,
So-
and threw them in with adults in a mental institution.
Dang, man. Like,
He
holy
was-
shit.
He was there for a year before they finally begged
How
him to let
old
him.
was he?
11, and he was in there with adults.
Oh, like,
With,
who knows? That would have been weird.
and we're talking
That would've
19.
been real
We're talking
fucking weird
1950s, 1960s mental institutions. So you know where they weren't
Could
great
you imagine being in an institute like that at 11 years old?
with
Like,
adults that are crazy.
like, for me, my parents got divorced at more or less that time, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was bad.
Yeah.
Like, that was a pretty decent influence for me. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, shit.
So I love the man, but he has some apologies to make if he ever could, because he
Yeah.
did some horrible things as well.
And, yeah, obviously, I don't expect you to get that deep in our interview at all.
Yeah.
I just thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking about it at all. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. And
But my mom was my rock. She, shown interest in a lot of things I did when it came to writing or acting or music. Or, I was in band, I was in choir, I was in acting, I did, plays. And so it was like yin and yang again. In my household was my mom was on conditional love and my father was very conditionary love. So, not all of it was bad, is what I'm trying to say.
yeah, I mean, I think I got that, you know?
Yeah.
I hope our listeners got that, and that you were shown good things, right? Like,
yep.
you got the art or entertaining things, spiritual-ish
Yeah.
things.
I think I
things
also
that-
got my mom's ethic. She's a very hard worker.
Oh, yeah?
She's retired now from Bayer, Bayer aspirin. Yeah. It's a Myers. It's not Myers, but a Bayer aspirin company. She worked in the labs all her life, and she's retired from that.
So what was she doing? Chemistry?
Yeah, she was working on diabetes strips.
Oh,
For people who have diabetes, the strips that they put in their machines.
yeah.
Yeah, she was in a lab, making those and making them better.
Yeah.
I
don't know too much, obviously,
Yeah.
but...
So my mom was
what,
like
the
a scientist,
blood? Yeah. Yeah.
lab technician. So that was kind of interesting to have in my life too.
Yeah, that's, get more depth on her end, which adds into who you are, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's, inevitably, that is my whole goal with the interview. It is to sum up a relative person's
Yeah.
What we learned physically, what we learned spiritually, and that which we enjoyed throughout life, which seems to fall into an art of some sort,
Yeah, I was gravitated to art at a very young age. I loved going to art museums when I was a little kid. I loved listening to music. My mom gave me all her old 45s, and they were the Beatles, when they were just hitting big.
Yeah.
When they were mop tops and teenage pop music. And I got all those 45s of hers, and I just consumed those up when I was little and played them all the time.
And how old then?
I'd say maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah. And I'm sorry. I'm real sorry. I don't know how. Your dad died at
16.
So you were 16. Like, again, 39, you were 16? I didn't realize that throughout this. Didn't realize it was so young.
Yeah, he died real young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And right now, me and my one other cousin in our family of me, on both sides, is the oldest lasting male. We're the last two.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's females that are living and probably will never die. But, like my sister and my mom. But the men in the family, there's only 2 left, me and a cousin of mine. So,
Dang, man.
Yeah.
All right, so... Sorry, is that weird? Does that seem weird to you?
Yeah, a little bit. But,
yeah, I mean, well, heck yeah. You're you're still standing, and I think I'm happy about it.
yeah. Good thing.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, definitely. So 6 to 8, you got into records. Around 16, your father passed away.
And then I went wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, then I went wild. And since my dad died, it was like I got freedom to life, and I over abused it with drinking and going out all night and, being with friends. And I just kind of like expanded out into the world, wanting to try everything and experience everything, but still a shy, loving kid, wanted to break away from the tyranny I think I had at the house, once he died, because my mom would let me do what I wanted to do within reason. I watched a lot of movies, read a lot of books, and listened to a lot of music that was probably way too older for me.
Yeah.
And I watched The Exorcist when I was 7 years old, and it scared the shit out of me. I mean, I was watching R-rated movies when I was, 13, 14 years old. So it wasn't really censored in my life in that way.
Right. And then again, I mean, man. So what about father figures past that point?
No, I really didn't want a father after that point for a while.
Yeah.
It took me a while. It took me a while to get over, him and forgive him for a lot of the stuff. And I didn't do it until I was like 27, 28 years old, until I let all that go.
Yeah.
I was doing in Buddhism and meditating, and my teacher at the time in Bloomington, Indiana, would correspond with me and teach me things. And he told me that one of the things you got to let go of is the past, because that's one more obstacle to becoming enlightened. Just letting it go physically and literally and mentally. It's ingrained in your psyche about what you were learned as a child, and you really have to let that go.
Right, and reflect upon it. You have to feel it and know it.
Yeah.
I think. Just really be with it.
Yeah.
Like, you've told me a couple times this wonderful story about a Buddhist monk who went into a cave and sat with his demons for 30 days?
Yeah, 30 days.
Yeah.
And he came out complaining and saying he hated them and he wished that they would all die, and he couldn't sit with them. He couldn't meditate because they were always noisy and loud and, vulgar and, distracting him. And then finally he asked this monk for help, like, what can I do? And he said, you just got to sit with them. And so he went back there and he just sat with them, letting them do whatever they do and just sitting there observing, and he was able to conquer his demons.
Right, so, okay, it was an average guy then?
Yeah.
That went into a cave, tried sitting with his demons?
Yeah, and he couldn't do it.
And the monk was like, you just gotta be with them, essentially?
Yeah, you just gotta be in the present moment and just accept what they are and what they do. And then it went away for him.
It's awesome, man. I love that stuff, and I want to get back into it, but I kind of want to build to it, you know what I mean? Like, alright, so high school, man, like, what were you into then? Just like...
Well, in the beginning years of high school, I would turn into a bad kid because I started drinking and going out with the wrong crowd and smoking pot and doing drugs. But then I had a car accident where a car rolled on me 3 times, and I was on acid at the time, and it really shocked my system. And my mom was, upset, and she put me into halfway house or counseling for kids.
Sure.
And that's when all this stuff came out about my dad. And that's when I started to focus more on high school, getting back to school. And my mom moved me to a bigger high school. And there I shined. I was in acting. I was in choir. I was in band. I was doing acting outside of school in adult theater. Adult community theaters, and I had more friends, and I didn't have all the pigeonholed friends I had back in the small school in, Middlebury.
Right.
So I had a bunch of more friends than I normally did. And then I discovered more music, the punk music and the pre-goth stuff we did in the 80s, like the Smiths and the Cure. And my writing just exploded during that time. When you're in high school, you do write a lot of poetry, a lot of bad poetry, but you write a lot of poetry.
I mean, I didn't. Yeah. I was, all right, I think I can sum up my story more or less. My dad also more or less abusive. We can get into this if you want to. Yeah. I just, can summarize it here. Abusive to mom, verbally to us. He was a scary man, not very staturely.
Yeah.
Like, I'm as tall as him now.
Yeah.
So, we're the same height. And I love him dearly now.
Yeah.
But...
You know what I mean, then? You had to let that go.
Yeah, it was a learning process.
To accept the real person,
I also... It's interesting, school and broadening horizons, I guess, like, for you, is very fascinating to me as a different individual with a different life, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I'm so happy. So, like, the bigger school and the more diversity, you think helped you out?
Oh, big time. It helped me out a lot. Then I tried to go to college after high school, but I still was on the high of having all these friends, doing all this stuff and being out with people. And it was more of a social thing for me my first time in college than actually learning the stuff and going to school. So I didn't go all the way through my first time in college.
Yeah. What were you just doing? General classes and
No, I was doing radio and TV broadcasting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. See, we're in the right business. This is like...
Yeah. I had my own radio show when I was in high school in Vincennes, Indiana at the college. So I had a radio show I put on every night. And that was
awesome,
part of the classes. You had to keep a radio show like you did it Thursdays and Tuesdays or Mondays or Sundays, whatever, schedule could be put out. You had like an hour show you did. You had to put commercials in it. You had to put, safety and promos, and you had to make a whole show in that hour and put it on.
How'd you do it? How'd you add the commercials?
Well,
Were you using Audacity
you had the
or?
pre-production. You had to make them in the beginning on tapes, like 8-track tapes. You had to make them and have them ready for your show. And then when the show started, you just put those tapes in and they would play.
So did you make your own commercial?
I made my own
Did you
commercials.
voice it and
Yeah,
everything?
voiced it, put music in the background.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, but this was, 1988, 1989 technology. So,
Whoa.
it was mostly cart tapes, they call it. They look like 8-track tapes. That's what's used to make promos.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Still, you had to do it yourself. You recorded it yourself, and then you put it all together, like in terms of running a radio show.
Yeah. And it was live. It was live.
Yeah.
I had friends of mine call in and stuff. It was pretty fun. I was really into heavy metal and industrial music at the time, and that's what most of the music was on my show, was industrial and, punk music.
That's cool. Where'd you go to school at?
Vincennes, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
Vincennes University.
That's still this Fort Wayne, northern Indiana area, right?
No, it's all the way down in the south by Evansville.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like the far south of the state.
Wow.
So I lived there too. And that's where I met some of my close friends in college and did the college thing. But like I said, I was more interested in women and parties and being with other friends than I think I was focused on being in college at the time. Because I was young and dumb.
I mean, that's what I expect from college, right? That's kind of almost the goal going in, right?
But I will say I did a bucket list of mine. I went back to school at 40 and got my bachelor's degree and finished school because I always wanted to finish and get a degree. So I did it at 40.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And you got that in what?
3.5 years.
I mean, what was the degree in?
Computer science and business management.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have debt now, actually?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah.
Still? Oh, bastards, man. Those sons of bitches.
Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah.
But with the economy and, I don't know why, but my resumes have always stellar. I've always worked places for more than a year, and this bachelor's degree has gotten me nowhere, to be honest.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that's might be how old I am, too. I think it might be an age thing. I'm 50 years old.
What, like you think you tried using it while you were 40?
Yeah.
I mean, what? It's a bad area for you.
Yeah, it's a bad area. For that. Yeah, for those jobs, yeah.
Yeah. I think if you would have, just, what if? Marvel, what if, man? If you would, moved to Indy or whatever at 40 after getting that, it might have made a difference. Yeah, unfortunately, the only place for that in Indiana, I think, is probably Indy.
Probably Indy.
I mean, nowadays it might be different, but like you said,
and I tried moving to Michigan by Toledo and Detroit and to get a job there, and I put in a bunch of resumes and nothing. So I don't know. It just maybe been a bad economic period when I was really hitting the resumes and putting them out there. I just never got anything from my degree.
Yeah, that's fair. And, what can you do about a what if anyway, right? Just a segue into that spiritual section, which we've touched upon, and is hard, you never are separate from your spirit, from the spiritual side of everything. So, obviously, we touched upon it, and Buddhism being even one of my big, staples and learning process was beautiful, letting go.
That's what I was married soon after college. I got a family. I had a good factory job. And then I quit drinking. I quit smoking. I quit everything when I got married. And I was actually in AA because I thought I had a problem. But I think my problem was I was bipolar. So I went into AA to keep my marriage going. And I I did really well, searching. During that period, I searched what I truly believed in. I read the Bible, I read the Quran, I read every spiritual book I could get my hands on to figure out for myself what, I truly believed in as a human being on this planet. And I saw the power of spirituality in AA. I saw people change their lives once they realized for themselves what they wanted to pray to and how they wanted to turn over their, struggles to something bigger than them. And that encouraged me to read and figure out what I wanted. And I started off with Indian spiritualism, and then I found a book by Thich Nhat Hanh, and I just went from there. And then I just started to get into Tibetan Buddhism, and I became a Buddhist. So
yeah, what was that book called? By Thich Nhat Hanh?
Yeah, Thich Nhat Hanh. I think it's called the Lotus. It's called the book. It's called the Lotus.
Okay, just for anyone
It's
that's
a small little
interested,
book. It's a small little book, and he reads like you're reading poetry, but it's real simple, beautiful, well written stuff. Thich Nhat Hanh. I strongly suggest anyone who wants to give a look at some beautiful written Buddhism, I would say Thich Nhat Hanh.
Right. Is it just like a lot of quotes by him, more or less?
Basically, lessons and how to, make sure they were structured like he would talk about a lotus flower, or you talk about a beautiful day, and you break it down into real short words that were really beautiful about what is the experience and keeping yourself in the moment and keeping, your practice of meditation, to be very centered and be in the moment at the moment,
Yeah, that's awesome. I have one in one of my journals, during our break here, a lot of self-discovery, I think, and, it's awesome. Jonathan's feeling pretty good. He's gotten some medication that's helping.
Oh, yeah, it's getting better. I have my days, but it's getting better.
Yeah, and that's good, man. I'm happy to hear that, really, truly. So your spiritual side, which started at what age?
About 23, 24, is when I was doing all that.
That's awesome. And you said, you said you went to a retreat where you had to be silent for how many days?
It was a week, and we had to be silent, no talking for a week.
Yeah, and what do they call that? Do you know? Vijnana?
They just called it silent meditation.
Oh.
It was a retreat,
okay.
So for a whole week, what we'd do is we'd wake up in the morning, we'd meditate, then we'd have breakfast, we'd clean up the place, we'd meditate till lunch, we'd have lunch, we'd clean up the place, and then we would meditate again, and then after that we'd go to bed. And the whole time we were silent. It was quite powerful. It was hard at first because you're so used to hearing your own jaws flap and make noise that it's really hard just not to say anything next to somebody next to you.
Right. Hey, do you see that?
But the weird
Did
thing,
I miss a spot? No.
But the weird thing is, the people that were there, we became able to talk to each other without any verbal concentration. We could just look at each other and, nod, or, we could smile, facial cues, or we could gesture that this is what, do you want this or do you want that, Sure. So, it was, everybody was working together to communicate in some way that wasn't verbal. And it was neat how that progressed throughout the week and how it got better. We were able to talk better, without words.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, I wasn't there, but did you get to a point where, the verbal or facial cues, are, they're kind of conscious?
Yeah.
Did it get to a point where it was less conscious? Like you weren't thinking about it as much? You were just like,
No, the main focus was the meditation and the downtimes and the staying present and meditating the longest one was right before we went to bed, and we meditated for 2 hours straight.
That sounds cool.
Your mind races, and at that point I had some meditation in my background where it wasn't so hard for me to do it, but it was still a lot of meditation for anyone.
Yeah, very intense, I'm sure. A lot of focus,
Yeah. And there were times when the teacher would play certain music meditations. He would skip it up every day, so we weren't doing just straight meditation all the time. We did a candle meditation. We did the Om ball.
The
bell.
Yeah, damn it. Fuck, I have one.
Yeah, I have one.
Tibetan bowl.
Tibetan bowl, yeah. Where you just rub the outside of it and it makes a noise, and
yeah.
we're focusing on that. But it was all sound and it was all visual stuff.
That's really cool, man. And how old were you then?
That was like 25.
So around, when dang, you were just like, I'm jumping into it.
Yeah,
I'm
and
getting in there.
I got to the point where I was doing at least an hour a day of meditation back to back every day for 2 years, 3 years.
That's awesome.
So an hour every day.
Holy crap, man.
Yeah.
So all right, going from everything we talked about, all your past and maybe anger and segregated feelings, maybe feeling like you're alone potentially.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, how did you feel meditating for 3 years then? And that sounds
I like
very
it. The only
intense.
word I can come up with is bliss.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Holy crap, man. I mean, again.
Because I never worried about nothing. I never tried to quit anything. I remember quitting smoking and just out of the blue without any, hey, I'm going to quit smoking today. I just quit. Everything was a lot easier. I spent a lot of time meditating on my children and being present with them when they were small, and that was beautiful. So I have really beautiful memories of doing that.
Okay.
You're just sitting with a child and being present and letting their minds open up and, play things with them and just be totally present in the moment of playing,
Right.
And it was beautiful. I remember my kids will tell you that they remember some of that, how attentive and how focused I was with them when we play.
That's cool. Just create with them.
Yeah, create with them. Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. That's one of my things
here,
I love about this life was I was a dad and then I had 2 girls. They mean the world to me, and I loved being a father. Loved it. Even the hard times, I loved it.
Hard for me to imagine, I guess.
Yeah.
You'll get there. Of scary thoughts.
You'll
really,
get
there. But
You're young.
Never. You can't force me.
Yeah. But, that's basically it. And in the past, I'd say 10 years, I've been really battling with bipolar and depression. It got really bad. And I was without a job that had insurance or didn't, supply insurance. So I slacked on taking the medicine. So the past years of just me trying to get the basics, medicine and routine down. So.
Yeah. And that makes sense, man.
Yeah.
I hope. And it seems like you're getting closer to that.
Yeah, I'm
I
getting
guess.
Closer.
Yeah.
This last time was a pretty big hit. I have to be honest. There was a lot of thoughts of wanting to end it, and a lot of my heroes were dying, like Chris Cornell of suicide, and and Robin Williams, and that really hit hard because I'm a big Robin Williams fan.
Yeah, me too. Man.
Me too. He was. If I could ever say there was a father figure out there other than my father, I would have to say Robin Williams.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful.
I watched his stand-up. I watched every single movie he's been in, and I've loved some and hated others. Not every movie that he's done is good.
No. But that's all right. He was human.
Yeah.
A very compassionate human, and it reflected.
Yeah.
Like, he leaves a very awesome
and to this day, man,
world,
a movie that makes me cry every time I see it is When Dreams May Come. Have you seen this with Robin Williams? Where he dies and he goes to heaven?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you have to see this. This is on the Josh must-watch list.
Yeah.
When Dreams May Come, Robin Williams. It was a movie about him actually dying and him going to heaven, but he loved his wife so much he couldn't live without her, and she killed herself so she couldn't go to heaven and meet him. Oh. So he goes through purgatory, he goes through hell, he goes all the way down to get her to pull her out.
It's Dante's
it's
story.
like Dante's Inferno,
Yeah.
But a more modern version of it.
Yeah. And
it's a great
Robin
movie.
Williams playing it. I mean, it's the Divine Comedy, so I guess it suits.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a great movie.
Fitting.
So you need to see that. When Dreams May Come. I think we might have a copy of it here.
Okay, so one last question in terms of spirituality, moving into that entertaining side, which I would really love to watch that movie, but what's something you think you learned throughout your life through Buddhism, through all the pain and, enlightening parts, the happy parts? What's something you feel you learned that could help someone else, whether they be young or old or whatever it might be?
I guess right now my life is in such a flux with trying to get medication, keeping my insurance, keeping a job, not getting too depressed and making sure my mental health is good. Because I really went down the rabbit hole this last time. And now that I'm back up and picking myself up, the only thing I can think of is I need to get back to the simple life. The simple way of thinking and the simple way of enjoying life is moments and pursuing moments, like a podcast, like talking with friends, like, going to a concert, simple enjoyments. Yes, I have to work and I have to have a job and I have to be there, but I can make my money so I can actually go out and live instead of living for my job,
Yeah. So enjoying the moments you have for yourself more.
Yeah.
Like this. Right here, this very moment, as we've experienced 43 minutes and 57 seconds or whatever the heck it is over there, but it's been good. Yeah. It's been a good 40-some minutes,
And now if we're done with the interview part, we could go talk about what's happening in nerd culture right now.
Right now.
Because some big things have dropped and happened since we've last been on our last podcast, that is. And this is season 2, and we both got to watch the big movie, Suicide Squad.
Right.
And what did you think of it?
Okay. All right. I'll take it from the top.
Yeah.
First of all, it was decent. It was good, actually.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it story-wise, I guess, and visually entertaining. The one issue I have is John Cena, and I've expressed this to you.
Yeah.
I don't know what my beef is with him, but I don't like it.
I can understand it because we were talking earlier, and I have a thing against John Travolta. So I understand when you have an actor that you just can't dig, or an actress you just can't dig.
Yeah, and there's, again, no logical reasoning on it. Yeah. Like, it just no, thank you, sir. Again, I mean, dude, I love Harley Quinn's actress. I really liked all the characters in this one.
Yeah.
Like, even John Cena's wasn't bad. I still enjoyed the character and what it was worth, for the movie. Yeah, not bad. I don't hope they make a sequel by any means.
They're going to. It's super huge.
Yeah, I just, spoiler alert. I mean, John Cena's dead, so I got that to look forward to.
Yeah, I don't think he's coming back.
Oh, spoilers.
Sorry.
Hang on. Wait for it. Spoiler alert. We'll put that before.
Yeah, in the description.
I'll just put it, right before that, maybe.
Yeah.
And leave it in. Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, when I think of this movie, I give it, a 4 out of 10. Yeah. I liked it, but I also thought it was a little cheesy at points. A lot of people love this movie, and all power to you. I'm glad you love it. But I just thought that there were parts where it was kind of too cheesy for me. But I did like the acting in it. I liked some of the characters in it a lot. There was some parts I laughed out loud to. So yeah, I give it a 4 out of 10.
What was it? Starfish? Project Starfish?
Yeah.
Right, that they're going after?
Yeah.
The creature they find is just, spoiler alert,
a huge starfish.
Well, I wasn't going to say, but yeah, there it is. Yeah. Anyway, I mean, that kind of makes it hilarious in itself. It is kind of cheesy where, that giant starfish, to me personally, was just funny the whole point.
Yeah.
And Daimyo's on the screen, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
As a joke, it was a good movie.
Yeah. And by the time of this recording, too, both of us have seen all of the Loki series, and I give that more thumbs up. Almost, I would say, 8 out of 10. I think I liked it more than WandaVision. What do you think?
I did too, man. Watching Loki grow like that.
Yeah.
I never hated. No, I don't think anyone ever hated his character. No. Dang it. Yeah, he really just learned, and I loved him more after it. Yeah. It's exciting. What do you think?
And Luke Wilson, who does the Morpheus character, is that Luke Wilson, the actor?
That's playing Kang?
No, Morpheus, his friend, the guy that.
Oh no! Holy crap! What is his name?
Morpheus, wasn't it? In the show, his name was Morpheus?
Maybe it was.
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
pretty sure it was
Yeah.
Morpheus.
Maybe. So what's the actor's name?
Luke Wilson. Is that wrong?
The odd-nosed feller.
Yeah.
That's how I remember him. That's unfortunate. I like him a lot. Owen Wilson?
Owen Wilson, that's what it is.
Owen Wilson, yeah.
The moment. Half-ass nerd.
Half-ass nerds. So I'm not gonna lie. What'd you say originally?
I said Luke Olson.
Luke Olson. Okay.
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson, yeah.
Yeah, we got it wrong. Sorry about
no, it's cool. It's funny how dude, I even forgot what you accidentally called him. Like, shit, man.
Yeah.
Damn, my brain. No. What'd you think along this line, to get it back?
Yep.
What about Winter Soldier and Falcon? And
No, I thought it was boring.
Yeah, you didn't like any of it?
No.
The ending or anything?
I thought the whole thing was real predictable and kind of boring. I'm sorry to say that because I liked it. There was great acting in it and all the actors were great. I just think it was a story thing.
Yeah, I get it. It wasn't like edge of the seat like Loki or even WandaVision in that
it's not even
sense.
yeah.
Like, you were waiting, anticipating the next episode where...
Yeah, I think it was where the story suffered for me.
A little bit, I think, as well.
Yeah.
It was good, though.
Yeah.
Overall, I still enjoyed this story. Just maybe not as intense.
Yeah. I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Pretty decent.
And I got a movie that Josh hasn't seen that I saw called The Green Knight. This is another one other people love, which I thought was kind of boring and long and sleep fest. It's a fantasy movie that just came out and by A4 Studios, and it was kind of a snooze fest.
I know nothing about it, but you want to go ahead and tell me a little? You do. Behind the
It's
scenes.
mostly a fantasy story about a prince fighting a green knight, a creature of the forest, and this journey that he goes on to live up to his end of a bargain, let's say, because then that'll be no spoilers.
Sure. Yeah. So, fantasy story. Yeah.
Yeah, basic fantasy story.
Knight challenges the king.
Yeah.
Correct. Super awesome. Just to reiterate. You know?
Yeah.
All right. So, just to move on again to a bit more life here, a little bit more looking forward. We went to Ohio in our break time.
Yeah, we sure did.
And we did an interview with your friends, Scott and Jess.
Yep.
And we stayed there for a couple days.
Yeah, we did some great recordings, great interviews, and they'll probably be the next episode that comes out.
Yeah. Whether it's a two-parter, I think it will be.
Yeah, I think it'll be a two-parter.
Yeah, potential. We got to be honest, we still have to edit it at this point. Scott's, he's a kind of a disc jockey, I guess. He's slinging records and making a living off of it, him and Jess.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I
he's
think
an
that's
interesting
awesome.
guy. Yeah, he's self-made. He's got his own business. He sells his own records in a medium that we thought was dead, but now has come back.
Right.
Vinyl records,
Right, it's grown, definitely. I mean, like, I enjoy records more as a younger individual.
Yeah.
For,
and I've got my collection behind me. I've got quite a big collection so far. I'm getting bigger. I had a bigger one, but I had to sell them to, make ends meet at one point in my life. So, but I'm slowly getting them back, so I'm good.
Right. Moving forward, hopefully building that routine that helps you build forward. Ideally. Do you want to talk about Scott a little? I'm a little... I'm afraid that the interview didn't come out quite the way I wanted it to be. It was very free form, and I'm sure it's
and that's the way Scott is. I think it's perfect because that's the way he is. And he's a free-form, different individual. And you either love or hate him, but he knows his way, and that is his way. And he makes it work. And you got to respect him for that. He gets it done.
Oh, absolutely, man. Clearly he's living. And I truly like their lifestyle.
Yeah.
To be honest, they have a garden in the back. They eat a lot of, generally just good, wholesome food, you know, garden food,
Well,
vegetables.
they
and
fed us some really good ribs. Oh my gosh.
ribs, and I had duck for the first
we had
time
duck.
over there, and that was good.
Yeah.
He's like smoking and grilling it the whole time we're there, and really it was just overall awesome time.
That's got to be another podcast for us here is food, because that's a nerd obsession too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just fuck nerd could be shooting bows or hunting, you know what I mean? It could be nerd to us, I think, right, is just a very broad description of being into something to an almost intense, or to an intense degree.
Yeah.
Like if you're, that's why we say half-ass nerd.
Yeah.
Is because we're not quite the full intense nerd into everything.
But we love everything.
Yeah. And it could be anything.
Yeah,
you could be a
anything.
nerd in anything.
Yeah.
And that's what I love. So I wanted to get back to Scott. I just maybe a little backstory there for the future here.
Yeah.
Is like, how did he get started selling
Well, he got
records
started selling records because he just needed a job, and he started buying records. And he saw other people selling records, and he was getting in knowledge about how to buy and sell, and what's a good album, what's a bad album, what's good quality, what's bad quality. And there was an underground record sailor still going on, even though records were not being produced anymore. And he got into that crowd, and he learned what was good and what was bad. And that's what has continued to this very day, is him keeping up with trends and selling them online. His clientele is very particular niche.
Yeah, it's very niche.
They're
That's
looking for
what I
high
got.
quality and the obscure.
Right, and like he has his own clientele.
And he has all that knowledge in his head of what's good and what's bad, what will sell for what. And if he doesn't know it's something, he's got people to ask.
Yeah, he's an intelligent man. I don't know if that'll come through in the episode or not. I hope so.
Yeah.
I doubt that he could hide it in terms of music at the very least. He's
And by the way, I wanted to say something right from the start, that Jess and Scott are married, so it's a married couple we went and saw.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't know if we said that ever.
Yeah. And that might add a little background there. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So he built up to that, and he's been doing it 20 years, and I think that's awesome. You know, I think that's amazing. I just wanted to really give him the credit there in case it didn't come across in the future episode.
Yeah.
There's also, at least as far as I understand, he has some pretty decent credit in the music industry in terms of, like,
Yeah, it was in a punk band.
records, and and he had a radio station at one point.
Yeah. He had a TV show on NPR. I mean, a radio show on NPR that got pretty big. It's still pretty big right now, even though he's not on it anymore. He moved to a different state, so he let two other guys take over for it.
Yeah.
And they're still going, so...
Yeah, and that's awesome. I just wanted to make sure, you know, his legend lived on, I suppose, you know, in terms of whatever happens in that episode.
It was a fun episode, though. I'm glad we recorded it.
I think so. I really tried to let you have the reins there, so, you know, I think it turned out good.
I think people will like it.
Yeah. I think so. And then we got Jess.
And then Jess, too,
Which,
talking to a witch.
Yeah, talking to a witch. Spooky.
Yeah.
No, it was fun. We got our runes read, which you'll hear all about.
Yeah.
And, well, all right. I think,
Ready to wrap this up?
Yeah. I think,
right,
you know,
welcome to the
all in
outro.
all,
It's great to be back here talking to you.
End it
Just
with a
fantastic.
quick
Yeah, and
quote
this
from
will
Thich
continue,
Nhat
my friends.
Nhat.
Yeah. Forever and always.
Our happiness and the happiness
This
of
is
others
Josh,
depends on our
signing
degree
out.
of right
This is
view.
Jonathan signing out.
Touching reality deeply is the way to liberate ourselves from the suffering that is caused by wrong perceptions. Right view is not an ideology, a system, or even a path. It is insight we have into the reality of life, a living insight that fills us with understanding, peace, and love. Thank you for listening to another episode of Half-Ass Nerds. Please like and subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Facebook.